So let's try to give you some perspective on where we are. This is Smith. You're in Algebra 2, coming live to you from a studio audience, Uniontown, Ohio. Look, Section 8.4. So in Sections 8.2 and 8.3, Sections 8.2 and 8.3 focused on graphing rational equations, graphing rational functions. And if you know Section 8.3, then you know how to do Section 8.2, so don't worry about Section 8.2 too much. Okay, 8.3 is the key. So now, as we go into Section 8.4, 8.5, and 8.6, we're transitioning into learning how to solve equations. Okay. So Section 8.4 and Section 8.5 are going to give you the skills for which you can solve equations. Remember, algebra concerns itself with two key ideas, the idea of graphing and the idea of solving. We've done the graphing piece. We're now transitioning to the solving piece. Okay. So here's kind of some structure for us. This isn't really too important, so let's just jump into this. So we want to simplify this expression. Notice this isn't an equation yet. There's no equal sign. This is simply an expression. Okay. Now some of you may be tempted to do this. You cannot do that. That's an order of operations violation because there are implicit or understood parentheses around a numerator and a denominator. You have to do everything in the numerator first. You have to do everything in the denominator second or first, and then you can divide them. Okay, we must do parentheses before we do anything else. So, your ability to succeed in this section solely relates to one idea: how well you can factor. Those of you who remember factoring and can do it well will do beautifully in this section. Those of you who hated factoring are glad to be rid of it. Well, you're not, and you never will be as long as you're taking a math class that's not statistics. Some of you are taking statistics. It's good for you. Until you have to go to college and take college algebra, and then you'll have to be able to factor again. So here we go. This factors into x minus 5, x plus 3. This factors, the bottom factors into x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay. And now I see I only have multiplication in the top. Factors being multiplied. At the bottom I have two factors being multiplied. And now I can simplify. So notice I have an x plus 3 here and an x plus 3 there. Those cancel out and leave us with the remaining rational expression, x minus 5 over x minus 3. And that is the thrust of what we're going to do here. But it all relates back to how well can you factor. So here's another problem. Ooh, one other thought. Can this be simplified more? Can I cancel out the x's? And again, the answer is no. That's an order of operations violation. Okay. If we were to cancel these out, you would be left with 5/3. But let me give you an illustration for why that would work. If you put in an x value of 20 and 20, then I should still get back 5/3 if your idea was true that I could cancel out the x's. But of course, 20 minus 5 is 15. 20 minus 3 is 17. 15 over 17 is not 5/3. Okay, so it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah, this is as simplified as you can go. And if you were to cancel out the x's, that's an order of operations violation. So don't do it. All right, here we go. Again, here we will factor. The top factors, x plus 5, x plus 2. The bottom factors, x minus 2, x plus 2. And you should be able to do those almost as fast as you can do your multiplication factors. multiplication facts well, and that's going to hurt you here as well. Okay. Now I say I have x plus 2 divided by x plus 2. Those cancel out. And again, we're just left with x plus 5 over x minus 2. Go ahead. So you can leave parentheses in here like this. It's more imperative that you leave parentheses if I had another term. Let's say there was a 2 out front. Now it's imperative that you have the parentheses. If you were to leave parentheses in like this, that's not a problem. If that helps you, please do it. Okay. All right. You're going to have some problems that resemble something like this, but they're very few in the book. And so I'd like you to just attempt them with your present knowledge. I think you'll be fine. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to come back and hit this on day 2 of our section. So I'm going to cover A4 in 2 parts, and I'll come back and hit this piece at that time. And instead, I want to move on to a more difficult problem. So please try any homework problems that you see tonight, and I think most of you will be just fine. Okay. Now, the first thing I need to caution you on is some of you are looking at this thinking that you're going to have to distribute or FOIL this out, and that's going to be really ugly. And you're right, it will be really ugly, so don't do it. Do not FOIL, because you will be foiled. And let me try to illustrate this with numbers. Okay. Here I'm multiplying 2 fractions, just like I am above. And we have 2 ways that we could do this. Way number 1 would be to say, well, 5 times 2 is 10, 3 times 2 is 5, 3 times 2 is not 5, 3 times 2 is 6. And now I can simplify 10 divided by 6. Okay. But if you try to do that up here, you're going to get some monstrous polynomials, and you're not going to be able to simplify them like we could simplify 10 over 6. So instead what we do is we say, well, look, I have 2 over 3 times 5 over 2, and I can write that all as one fraction, so that's 2 times 5 over 3 times 2. But look, there's a 2 in the top and a 2 in the bottom. Those just cancel out. And now I get the answer, and it's a lot easier to work with. And that's exactly the process we're going to do above. So please put a note in the margin, on the top of your page, on your hand. We do not want to distribute. We do not want to FOIL. We want to factor. Factor, factor, factor. So I'm going to take this expression, these 2 fractions, and I'm going to factor both numerator and denominator, and we're going to go. So 2x doesn't factor. This is going to factor to x minus 3, x minus 6. This guy's going to factor by pulling out a common term. And this guy's going to factor to x minus 6, x plus 2. Check my factoring, make sure I didn't make any mistakes. Also be careful on this common term factoring. A lot of students forget how to do that or forget that there is such a thing. Okay, so now we're going to multiply. And this is going to be the nicest multiplication you have ever done. Prepare to be amazed. We've now multiplied. Right, I've taken 2 fractions and I made it 1 fraction. It is the nicest multiplication you will ever do. You don't have to do anything. Okay? And now we're going to look for things that cancel. Bless you. Okay, so look, I have an x plus 2 in the top. I have an x plus 2 in the bottom. See ya later. I have a 2x in the top, 2x in the bottom. minus 6 in the top, I have an x minus 6 in the bottom. See you later. And this entire massive expression simplifies to that. And that is this process. That is what we do in this section. Okay. All right. There's a problem number 1. I think that's too easy for you guys, so let's just jump right to number 2. If you're watching the video at home and want to do number 1, go get them. Number 2, again, the idea here is that we're going to factor both numerators. We're going to factor both denominators. We're going to multiply, and the way we multiply is by drawing a line, connecting the two fractions, and now we're going to look for things that cancel. So if you're watching the video at home, please pause the video now and work on problem number 2. All right, so welcome back. Hopefully you have done the correct factoring. Chance to check. Otherwise, now we're going to multiply. The way we multiply is simply by connecting the two fractions. And now we look for things that are common in the numerator and denominator cancel out. So I see an x plus 3 and an x plus 3. X minus 2, x minus 2. X plus 1, x plus 1. And so we're left with 6x over x minus 8. And we're done. There's nothing more to do there. Nothing more to do there. Okay, so at this point, this is where we're going to stop for section 8.4 part 1. We'll pick back up here tomorrow, 8.4 part 2. There are 2 homework assignments, so you do have homework tonight. Please get on that. Otherwise, Mr. Smith, signing off. Sayonara.